So here I am out of Mountainview. Now, I haven't been in this corner of the cemetery before, but straight away, first thing I see is this long row of Great War graves. McNeil Private, 68th Battalion. 1st Battalion, McKillop. Army Service Corps, Thompson. He might have known my granddad. My granddad had been Royal Horse Artillery, and then he was too old for the trenches, so they transferred him to the Army Service Corps because he was a saddle maker. But so far, these guys are all Canadian Machine Gun Corps, Page. 1st Reserve Battalion. Now, these guys have all died in March of 1949. 7th Battalion. Here's a 72nd. Here's one of mine. Duffield. I knew a Duffield. A drummer. Could be his granddad. Sergeant Logan. I knew a Logan as well. Matt. Another granddad maybe. But they all died in 49, so there must have been a flu that must have gone around. Corporal Falker. Driver Waters. Royal Field Artillery. Cucklew, Bradshaw, 71st. Royal Canadian Navy Volunteer Reserve. Royal Air Force. Canadian Army Service Corps, Company Quartermaster Sergeant. All in 1949. One missing here, so maybe the stone's just gone as well. Later on, I'm going to go back through the history and see if I can find some of these guys, at least from the Seaforth. Lord Strathcona's horse. Who are you? 67 Battalion. 2nd Canadian Mounted Rifles. Royal Scots. 52nd. 14th Battalion. Army Service Corps. Sapper. Canadian Railway Troops. So he's a Royal Engineer, or Canadian Engineer with the railways. Canadian Army Medical Corps. Beatty. Corporal Barrett, PPCLI. All spring, all through 1949. Well, I'm going to turn off the camera here because I got some walking to do before I find another bunch of lads to say hello to. There's a sort of atavistic feeling that you're not dead until people stop saying your name, and I don't completely believe it, but it's a nice sentiment to just walk by, and God knows when any of their families were last here, and that's not a criticism. But yeah, just one old soldier to another is just saying hello. I'll be back here in a couple of days because I want to do a video on our own Sergeant Macbeth. Anyhow, I'm going to shut this off now. I'll tune in later if I got something to show you. Here's another. I've walked maybe a kilometer south. I'm nigh on the crematorium just over there, and Sergeant Macbeth is about 4 o'clock from my position, maybe 100 meters, 200 meters. But here's Bertram Dalton, Sergeant, 72nd Battalion. So Great War veteran. Might have been too old to be deployed if he was born in 1870. My grandfather was born 2 years before him, 1868. He managed to make it over there, but he got cross-posted from infantry, as I said, to Service Corps. Well, I'm just going to have to look him up. Good day to you, Sergeant Dalton. Here's another I've never seen before, again, in the area around the crematorium. 1015441 Private Malcolm Nairn, 72nd Battalion. This is a Seaforth. 12th June 27, 56. So, a couple years younger than my granddad. If he's 72nd, he made it to France. Okay, I'm going to look you up too, lad. Okay, there's another. I think I prefer the original stones, but those modern Commonwealth Wargrave stones certainly make it easier to see them at a distance. Let's just take a hoof over and see who else I'm gonna meet today. Now Macbeth isn't too far away. He's got to be over in the next quarter, I think. I see there's at least 2 Commonwealth, 3, 4 Commonwealth headstones, Wargrave headstones there. And there's a couple near Macbeth. .202-2989 Gunner Joseph A. Booker, Canadian Garrison Artillery. 18, age 31. So he could have been Garrison Artillery here. I'm going to shut this off for a bit because I got a bit of cross country to do. There he is right there. There's Sergeant Macbeth. Note to self, Commonwealth. There's a couple up that way as well. Here he is. Robert Gordon Macbeth, Victoria Cross. Killed in the faithful discharge of his duty in the Vancouver Police Force, October 9th, 1922, aged 23 years. Vancouver Police Department, Vancouver Police Cadets, Seaforth Highlanders of Canada. I'm going to crow for a bit because I'm the one that made that happen. There he is, proper VC memorial. I'm going to do a separate video about him in a day or two, describing his actions that awarded him Victoria Cross and his brief period with the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada. Okay, I'm going to do some hiking now and see who else I can find. 70420 Cadet Harry Downer, Royal Flying Corps. 14 September 1917, age 19. So I'll gamble that he was killed in training, probably an air crash. Learning to fly. J 22736 Pilot Officer James Kennedy, Royal Canadian Air Force, 29th of October 1943, age 25. Now, there was a fighter plane flying out of what is now YVR, Vancouver Airport, that crashed on a training flight on Southwest Marine Drive, about a little southwest of Beechwood Street, because my father had grown up in that neighborhood. He was a schoolboy, and he remembers the day this fighter plane crashed. And I could almost point out the property if I was to drive or walk along there. But I don't know what plane it was, whether it was a Harvard or a Hurricane. But the thing just absolutely thundered in straight down, buried itself. There's probably remnants of the aircraft still embedded in this guy's front lawn. But Dad's gone, so I can't ask him what year that was, but this is about the right time. Someone else to look up. There's a lot of Royal Flying Corps people here. Here's Cadet Austin, 23rd September 1917. Now, I don't know if the Royal Flying Corps, so he's a cadet, so he presumably killed in training, or the myriad other ways that some non-combatant could get killed in those days. So presumably died during training. 27's a bit old for a pilot. But so he may not be home. This may be a cenotaph, an empty grave. He may be over in Europe. And right next to him, father and son. Father died in 1916. and his son, Lieutenant Ernest Austin, Royal Flying Corps. Oh, there goes the flyover. An Argus. Which means it's damn near 11 o'clock. So, Lieutenant Austin died September 23, 1917, Royal Flying Corps. Again, he may not be here. But it's just a few minutes shy of 11, so I'm going to shut this thing off and stand to attention, pay my respects. I don't see a Seaforth grave here, so these two gentlemen of the Air Force will just have to do. It was luck or fate, if they're not actually the same thing, would have it. Just before 11, I found this stone, which I have seen before. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Sutherland, Distinguished Service Order, Order of the British Empire, Military Cross, Seaforth Highlanders, 6 July 1946. And this seems to be his family plot because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I can see, and possibly this big one as well. So there you are. Here's to you, Colonel Sutherland. You must have been a right swashing boy in your day. Distinguished Service Order and Military Cross. Regular Force, British Army. And yet he retired here. Could have taken a look at Canada, the map of Canada, because your pension goes farther in Canada, or at least it did in those days. And then settled in Vancouver because there was a battalion of his old regiment here, the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada. Right. Well, that's it. It's gone 11. I'm going to hoof down south several blocks to where the parade returning from the cenotaph, about a mile east of here, and I'm just going to fall in with them and then march back to the pub. So I call this a Remembrance Day well spent.